A little background for anybody curious. Nitrogen in a liquid state is usually considered to have a temperature that's almost 200 degrees Celsius negative and over 300 degrees Fahrenheit negative. In Kelvin, which is based on a zero being absolute zero, which means you really shouldn't be able to have a negative number, I don't believe, that's positive 433 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what Kelvin is for. It's also used as a reference point for color temperature, but that's not relevant right now. Now, mercury freezes solid at negative 40 Celsius and negative 40 Fahrenheit. That's not accurate. It's actually 38 and 39 degrees, but if you say negative 40 Celsius, that's accurate. It will be solid, according to what I just looked up. Negative 40 Celsius and Fahrenheit is a point where they're both the same temperature. That's both the same temperature on the same scale. And that's known by everybody who insists on bringing this up, who's a chemtrail believer, because they believe you have to have it literally 40 degrees below zero in order for you to have fog and water condensation, because they believe if they repeat that loudly enough, that'll prove chemtrails are actually chemical and not just water vapor, even though fog exists and rain falls. And immediately they're going to cat-like type below because reasons. Now, negative 40 Fahrenheit and Celsius is positive 234 Kelvin, approximately. It's actually the wrong numbers, but that's a round number. So if someone says that something's heated up to 150 degrees positive Kelvin, because I don't think a negative Kelvin would be applicable here. Yes, someone's going to type about that in a minute. That works out to negative 190 degrees Fahrenheit and negative 123 degrees Celsius. That's where mercury isn't just a solid, it's an extreme solid, and it isn't going to be a plasma. Now, what if you were to take mercury that's cold like that and bring it up to 230,000 atmospheres? It would heat up. But the statement that people will get when you look up all these numbers I'm spitting out is that it still has to be literally 200 degrees Fahrenheit below. It can't be hot. So saying you heated it up to that means you started off with it being colder. Okay, so let's assume you brought it down to liquid nitrogen levels at 433 Kelvin, but let it heat up to still being a liquid, a solid, in liquid nitrogen. Actually, it would be gaseous nitrogen at this point, but the mercury still wouldn't be a plasma at quote-unquote heated up to 150 Kelvin. Now, if you were saying 1500 Kelvin or 15,000 Kelvin, that would mean that it could actually be vaporized and turned into a plasma at 25,000 atmospheres. Or not. But anyway, someone then says that you have to spin it up to 50,000 RPM, but they type it as RPMs. That one simple typographical error is always cut and pasted by people who are claiming this. It's almost like they're saying, please point this out. I know you're going to say it. Please point it out. Please, 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 I need you to debunk me. But on top of that, claiming mercury at 150 degrees positive Kelvin, because again, negative Kelvin might be something you want to look up before you talk about, is still balls-crackingly cold and is not a plasma. And if you bring it up to the atmospheric pressure and keep it at that temperature, it's still not a goddamn plasma. And then rotating at 50,000 RPM just means you're spinning a solid ball or disc or donut of mercury. This is not going to create anti-gravity because, in case you can't figure it out from liquid nitrogen being mentioned here, and then compressing it at that many atmospheres, someone has experimentally tried to do this to get it to do something interesting like nullify gravity or create a nullification of inertia. Inertia is the reason that if you and I move back and forth like this, we feel our brain sloshing around a little bit. In my case, more so because I'm an idiot. And if you could get rid of that, that means you could take the g-forces of extremely rapid turns, and also, potentially, if you can nullify your inertia, you're really nullifying your gravity and your effect on time-space being warped slightly. That would mean that you've achieved a thing that would let you traverse through time and space both, which means you could time travel, not just moving, and you could warp time-space by moving from point A to point B. Time and space would be no barrier at all, potentially even going backwards in time. Now we bring up the TR3B, Black Manta, Aurora, Astra, and 100 other names at this point that people are using, including, generically, thank you Wikipedia for your oh-so-useful thing, Black Triangle UFO. If anybody's curious about it, a triangular-shaped aircraft isn't anything new. There's a Valkyrie aircraft in Britain. We have some stealth aircraft that very much describe very easily this. And there have been experimental aircraft that's been used by every Air Force and every inventor trying to make a triangle-shaped airplane because it's cool-looking and it ought to work. And it doesn't, not necessarily anyway. It kind of does. It's just a delta wing. But it still has to be a wing. Do you have the wing? Now, if you make one that's a stealth aircraft, and the stealth bomber or stealth fighter looks exactly like this. I mean, it really is. And people thought, well, that's a confirmation of what we saw in the skies, because we saw this. Please understand that every single UFO video and photo you see has been double-checked back and forth to find out whether or not it was true. Virtually every one of them has been debunked, and in many cases, the people came out of the closet and said, yeah, I faked it. Because it got out of hand and they got tired of the fame and fortune. A couple of people even brought out the models they used to make it. One of them was a piece of styrofoam painted black with some lights in it. Now, I want to point out, again, even a deathbed confession, as long as the confession approves what you believe, you'll believe it. If it disproves what you believe, you'll say they got to them. Nobody actually cares about these confessions or the testimonials. That's why the Black Manta, TR3B, Aurora, Astra, Black Triangle, UFOs. Thank you, Wikipedia. How very I'm sorry, but that's a shitty thing to call it. And also, my favorite, the boomerang. The black boomerang with lights on it. You'll see it when you look at the Wikipedia page. All of these referencing mercury as a plasma when it's a solid that was heated up to that amazing temperature of really, really fucking cold, probably in a liquid nitrogen bath and then into a gaseous nitrogen environment, and then compressing it to 250,000 atmospheres, supposedly, and spinning it. None of that causes any of these effects, and this is a story that someone created to prove to people that they can't do their own research. What else proves that? Horse dewormer. Most of you out there looked up horse dewormer. Just go look it up. You won't find anything other than stories about it. People out there who claim that you can do this and then get sick or even kill themselves because they want to avoid taking a vaccine that actually does work. Well, I want to wait and see until we've had enough trials. Almost half the population on the earth has taken the vaccines. I'm using take the vaccine to trigger you. Yeah. Well, how many people have died? That's pretty hard to find out because there's virtually nobody dying from it. There have been some bad reactions and people have died. I agree. But the number is so vanishingly small. Meanwhile, we have 700,000 dead in the United States from a virus. Let's ignore that and talk about 2 people dying in 2 different countries? Or maybe 10? Well, the vaccine's an unnecessary risk. 2 or 3 people out of billions at this point. Well, they're hiding it and lying it. Yes, anything that doesn't agree with your belief system must not be true, period. There's no way to prove anything to you. Okay, let's go on with this. Again, if you're claiming the mercury was a plasma at negative almost 200 Fahrenheit, negative 123 Celsius, and positive 150 Kelvin, that's bullshit. It debunks itself. This is a story that was created to be easily debunked. That and claiming everything else about it. Now, someone posted this under my video. I don't know if they were talking to me because that would mean that they were literally ignoring the video and lying about me. You say the TR3B is a new super secret craft. No, I fucking didn't. It's an old story and it's been debunked a billion times. I say it uses nuclear energy. No, you don't. You're just cutting and pasting this because this is literally full of the same typographical errors and the same stupid commentary. I say it uses nuclear energy to charge liquid mercury heated up to 150 degrees Kelvin. Wow, that's hot. The mixture rotates at 50,000 RPMs. You cut and pasted the same fucking error everybody's done since the GeoCities version of it. It creates a plasma that decreases the weight by 89%. Can't say 90%, even though that's really what it is. Round it up, bitch. The G-force is greatly reduced by making it possible to obtain speeds the human body previously couldn't handle. Humans can achieve any speed. It's how fast you change speed. It's not the fall, it's the sudden stop. It's called inertia. But, okay, and again, that's literally the same cut and paste with the wrong information. I'm probably wrong, though. I personally seen the TR-3B in 1997. No. Along with a million other people. Several videos exist. How did we all see something that wouldn't exist on paper for 7 years? Now, that last part there is easily explained. If you saw this, which I don't believe even for a second you did because of the other stuff here. I mean, literally, you're just cutting and pasting a story. People have been experimenting with triangular-shaped aircraft since the 1910s. Do you know why? Paper airplanes are triangular. Kites are triangular. They're shaped like literally a manta. Mantas fly underwater, they're flying, and they're triangle-shaped. That's the reason it's called the black manta. People have been trying to make flying wings that are shaped like that particular creature and kites, triangle-shaped kites, for a long time. Regalo wings, a.k.a. hang gliders, are actual triangular-shaped aircraft wings. That's a delta wing. We've been doing this for a while. This isn't something mysterious or super secret. People have been trying to make them work for a bunch of things at once. They're really shitty aircraft when you do this. Unless you make them a very specific way, which, okay, the stealth bomber or stealth fighter or whatever the fuck it is. Okay. But it doesn't fly itself. A good stable wing makes a shitty fighter craft. Do your own research to create your own conclusions. No. Now, normally I'd say go ahead and do it, and you come by my video and maybe we disagree, but I can't do that anymore. People out there are doing their own research about horse dewormer and taking something that's supposed to treat malaria, being told repeatedly, unless you have malaria or unless you're a horse with worms, this will make you sick or kill you. And they do it anyway, instead of literally getting a 0.3 cubic centimeter injection. It's literally that tiny. Really, really tiny. 0.3 cc's of a vaccine in their arm twice, several weeks apart, that has had such a low death rate that I can't get any of these anti-vaccine people to give me an accurate count. Well, we don't know the number. Then you don't have any evidence for anybody dying? How many dead? And you look up out of the almost half of the population on the planet. Like, let's say 2 billion people injected with vaccines. How many deaths? Suddenly it doesn't sound like a big deal when we have 700,000 dead in the United States just from the virus. None of what you say, any of you anti-vax people, has ever made any sense and has always been reckless, stupid, and destructive. And more importantly, a shit ton of them, I pointed this out in a previous video, a shit ton of anti-vax people want the death rate to go higher for disease to thin out the herd. That's why they say they do it. They think that it'll improve humanity. These are also the people that would be in charge of death panels or getting rid of your kid if they don't have blue eyes and blonde fucking hair. I am sick to death of people saying, do your own research, when you don't look up that 150 degrees Kelvin makes mercury a solid object. That's you. I don't give a shit that you cut and paste it somewhere. You did none of your own research. You didn't double check any of this. Missing components in the story. Let's do that. What atmosphere is this atmospheric pressure of 150,000 atmospheres at? What is that for? That's the part you didn't include. Oh, it was only at an RPM and only cold. You forgot the atmospheric pressure. What gas atmosphere was it? Probably liquid nitrogen and then converted to gas nitrogen. Maybe it was helium gas. Maybe it's hydrogen. What is it? You don't have all the components? Someone's tested all of this and found out it doesn't create anti-gravity. Why are you posting this? Well, you're getting so mad about this. It's like, yeah, I know that. But you're also the kind of person that's going to be okay with listening and believing people, not just for UFOs, but for hydroxychloroquine and the other compound, ivermectin, and whatever else some asshole comes up with. Instead of what has been found to work with 1 billion people versus maybe 50 deaths from it. Nobody will give me that number. Or 700,000 in the United States dead. 500,000 people are dead here. And that's on the people who lie about this shit. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck.